Hey there. Thanks for swinging by again. I'm so glad you're here today. I've got a fresh tale to spill, so let's dive right in. My name's Brad, and if I'm being real with you, there's this one thing I've never quite managed to figure out. It's a nagging little question that pops into my head every time I hear about another relationship biting the dust. Here it is. Why do folks call it quits with someone but still leave the door cracked open for their ex to peek back into their lives? Seriously, think about it. When you break up, isn't the whole idea to snip those strings, to let go of everything tying you to that person? So why do so many people keep handing their exes a backstage pass to their world? Am I just stuck in the past with my old school ways, or do I see boundaries a little differently than most? It rubs me the wrong way you end it, but then let them sneak back in like nothing's changed. It's almost as if the breakup never really happened, and that just muddies everything up. Well, today I've got a story for you about the chaos that unfolded with my fiancée, Michelle, and how it all fell apart in ways I never saw coming. Trust me, this one hit me hard and made me wrestle with that very question. Before I jump into the messy stuff, though, let me give you a quick rundown on me and Michelle. I've known Michelle for ages, way before we ever started dating. Back in the day, she was tangled up in this awful relationship with a guy I'll just call her ex. When I say awful, I mean the kind where you're always on edge, tiptoeing around, never sure if you're about to get chewed out, hurt, or flat out ignored over something tiny. I watched it all go down from the sidelines, not really part of it but close enough to see the toll it took. It wasn't a picnic to witness, but I knew I couldn't just charge in and play hero. That wasn't my role. She had to decide to break free on her own, and I respected that. Michelle's no fool. She saw what was happening. She just needed to muster up the courage to walk away, and I couldn't push her into that. So, I hung back, ready to listen whenever she needed a friend. Romance wasn't even on my radar then. I just wanted to be a steady shoulder for her. Then one day, she finally cut ties with him. I'll never forget how rough that was for her. It wasn't some clean, easy break. You could see it in her face. She was shattered, lost, and second-guessing herself. But she did it. She stepped away from all that pain, and even though it was tough, I knew it was the best move she could have made. I stuck around for her after that, letting her know I had her back. A few months later, once the dust had settled, I worked up the nerve to ask her out. To my shock, she said yes. After everything she'd been through, I wasn't sure how it'd go, but somehow, we clicked. Our relationship took off fast, like, really fast. I think we both felt this spark, this chance at something genuine after all the junk she'd dealt with. We started piecing our lives together, and about a year and a half into dating, I popped the question. Yeah, it was speedy, but it just felt right, like the next obvious step for us. Once we were engaged, we decided to move in together. I mean, we were going to be sharing a home eventually anyway, so why not get a head start before the wedding? Those first few months under the same roof were pure gold. We'd whip up meals side by side, get lost in TV marathons, or just stroll around the neighborhood. Simple, everyday stuff. It felt like we were crafting something solid, and I loved it. I thought we had it all figured out, smooth sailing ahead. But you know how it goes. Things don't always stay rosy forever, do they? Stick with me, and you'll see what I mean. One night, just a regular evening at home, I couldn't find my phone anywhere. I flipped the couch cushions, checked the kitchen counter, even peeked under the pillows, nothing. So, I grabbed Michelle's phone to give mine a quick call, hoping it'd buzz and give away its hiding spot. No harm, no foul, right? As I scrolled to punch in my number, something jumped out at me, her ex's name, right there in her call log. And not some old, dusty entry, this was recent, just a couple days ago. Out of everyone she could have been chatting with, this was the guy I thought we'd both locked in the rearview mirror. This wasn't just some ex from a petty breakup, this man had hurt her. Bad. I'm talking emotional scars, physical stuff too, not just arguments, but real damage. I'd been there through it all as her friend, so spotting his name wasn't exactly a warm fuzzy moment. Hoping I'd gotten it wrong, I tapped into her messages. Nope, no mistake, they'd been texting back and forth, casual as can be. What stung even more? She'd let him slip back into her life on the down low. That didn't sit well with me, not because I'm some clingy, paranoid type, but because I've seen how this plays out. You don't keep a window open for someone like that unless part of you isn't ready to let go. So, I wandered into the bedroom where Michelle was sprawled out on the bed, and I didn't beat around the bush. I just asked her flat out, "Why are you still chatting with him?" Her eyes widened, totally thrown off that I'd caught wind of it, but she didn't try to dodge the truth. She admitted they'd been talking, brushing it off as no big deal, just casual catch-ups. It's nothing serious, she insisted. He just wanted to see how I was doing. I laid it out for her plain and simple. Look, it bothers me. You told me that chapter was closed, that you were done with him for good. She could tell I wasn't messing around. I just wanted her to hear me out and get where I was coming from. That's when she softened up and said, all right, if it'll put your mind at ease, I'll stop all contact with him. I don't want this to drive a wedge between us. Her words calmed me down a bit. I trusted she meant it, thinking, okay, maybe it really was harmless, and now that she knows it bugs me, she'll set that line in the sand. I let it slide, figuring we were back on solid ground. But here's the kicker. I had no clue that was only the start of the storm brewing. After that talk about her ex, I thought we'd smooth things over and life would settle back into its groove. But as the days rolled on, I started picking up on something odd. Michelle, who used to be pretty chill about leaving her phone lying around, suddenly turned into its personal bodyguard. That thing never left her side. Whether she was heading to the bathroom, it was clutched in her hand. Doing laundry, it was jammed in her back pocket. Even popping into the next room for something quick, she made sure it tagged along. At first, I shrugged it off. People are practically glued to their screens these days, right? But it planted a seed of curiosity, and I couldn't help but keep an eye out, even if I didn't want to admit it to myself. Then one day, I decided to swing by the house during my lunch break. I'd forgotten a hard drive that morning, left for work earlier than usual to tackle some stuff at the office, and I needed it for a meeting later. Normally, I'd give Michelle a heads up that I was dropping by, just to be polite, but this time I didn't bother. It was a quick in and out mission, grab the drive and bounce. No need to make a fuss. I got home, snagged the hard drive from my desk, and was about to hightail it back to work when I thought, you know what? A coffee sounds real nice right now. There's this cozy little cafe a few blocks from our place that I love. So, I drove over, parked, and strolled in like it was any other day, gave a quick nod to the girl at the counter, and ordered my usual. While I waited a couple minutes for my drink, I thanked her, grabbed it, and turned to head out. That's when I saw them, Michelle and her ex, tucked away in the corner of the cafe. For a split second, my brain didn't even process it. They were deep in their own little world, chatting away, oblivious to me standing there. I walked right up to their table, locked eyes with her, and said, "Don't bother coming home." She stared at me, dumbfounded, like I'd just spoken gibberish. Her mouth parted, but no words came out. I didn't stick around, spun on my heel, marched out, hopped in my car, and peeled off. The rest of that day? It's a blur. I was physically at work, but my mind was somewhere else entirely. When I stepped back into the house that evening, Michelle was already there, perched on the couch. The second she spotted me, she jumped up and launched into her side of things. She said her ex was going through some rough personal stuff, that he'd reached out because he needed a friend to lean on. According to her, she was just being a good person, keeping it all friendly and above board, nothing shady. She framed it like some noble act, like I should have been clapping for her stepping up for this guy she'd promised to leave behind. I didn't cut her off. I let her spill it all, every word she wanted to get out. When she was done, I hit her with the only question that mattered to me. Didn't you swear to me you were finished with him? She froze for a second, and that tiny hesitation said more than any answer could. Before she even mumbled a shaky yes, I looked her dead in the eye and asked again, "Then why are you sitting here with him now?" She stumbled into another round of excuses, but I wasn't having it. I didn't want to hear more. To me, it was cut and dry. You don't leave side doors cracked open in a relationship and still call it solid. I laid it all out for her. No filter. If you can't let him go, then I'm not sure it's safe for me to keep pouring myself into this, knowing he's still got some emotional tie to you, one you're hiding from me. Her face scrunched up like she couldn't wrap her head around my words, but I knew she got it. She just didn't expect me to call it out so blunt. I didn't stop there, though. I told her straight up, "Go be with him then, since he needs you so much." That's when she crumbled. Tears started flowing, and she swore she never meant to hurt me. She kept saying she didn't know how to make it make sense, like her actions were some big mystery, even to her. Michelle pleaded with me, practically begging me not to call it quits. She kept insisting it wasn't what it seemed, but my head was already checked out. I told her straight up, "Go pack your stuff. I'm not about to beg for a spot in your life where I should have been the only one that mattered." She stood there, eyes brimming with tears, probably hoping I'd cave and change my tune. I didn't budge. When it finally clicked that I wasn't bluffing, she grabbed a couple bags, threw some things in, and took off. Headed to her parents' place, I figured. I think deep down she saw it as a timeout, Like a few days apart would cool me off, and I'd realize I'd blown it out of proportion. But here's the thing. It wasn't some heat-of-the-moment meltdown. I wasn't just lashing out. I was acting on a choice she'd already made by sneaking around with him again. After I told her to leave, I half expected her to swing by and pick up the rest of her stuff. Take the hint. 2 days went by, though, and nada. No call, no visit. I gave it that time because a tiny piece of me hoped she'd step up, respect my words, and handle it maturely. But when I saw that wasn't happening, I decided it was time to close the book myself, on my terms. So, I picked up the phone and told her to come over. She showed up, and I could tell she thought this was her big moment. Maybe I'd finally see reason, or buy into whatever version of the story she'd spun in her head. But when she got to the door and saw all her things boxed up neatly, stacked outside, it hit her like a ton of bricks. This was it. Game over. She started blowing up my phone after that, but I let it ring. No point in picking up when there was nothing left to hash out. Then the text rolled in, sharp and meant to sting, like she wanted me to feel the hurt she was carrying. She called me insecure, said I was controlling, even threw in that I couldn't handle a strong woman. And then she went for the low blow, claimed her ex was better than me. I skimmed through it all, but I didn't let it rile me up. I just fired back one last message. Go be with him then. And that was that. Sometimes the calmest thing you can do is turn your back and keep walking, no looking over your shoulder. After it all went down, I took some time to sit with myself and really dig into what happened. Not just with Michelle, but the whole messy picture. Let me lay it out for you. I felt two things swirling around at once. Sadness and a strange kind of peace. The sadness came from how much I'd wanted it to work. I pictured a whole future with her, marriage, maybe a family someday. I was in it, 100% committed. But the relief? That crept in because I finally saw the truth, not just the pretty version I'd been hoping for. So, I sifted through it all and walked away with some tough lessons I think anyone can take to heart, whether you're just dating, engaged like I was, or even married. First off, trust is everything. It's the bedrock of any relationship. Once it cracks, it's like patching up a shattered mirror. You might get the pieces to fit, but the lines still show, and you'll keep slicing yourself on those same jagged edges. I loved Michelle, no question, but when she hid her chats with her ex and met up with him behind my back, that trust evaporated. After that, love alone couldn't carry us. It just wasn't enough. Second, set your boundaries right out of the gate. If something feels off, don't sit on it and hope it'll fix itself. Speak up. I should have drawn a hard line the second I spotted those messages. Instead, I gave her a shot to make it right, banking on love to nudge her into doing the decent thing. Big misstep on my part. If I'd been upfront from the start and said, this is a deal breaker, no wiggle room, maybe it would have ended quicker, or maybe she'd have chosen differently. Either way, don't wait. Say what you mean early. Third, watch what people do, not just what they say. Words are cheap, promises even cheaper. Michelle swore she'd cut him off, told me it was done, but then she flipped the script and kept seeing him like her promises were just hot air. That taught me something big. Anyone can sweet-talk you, but their moves tell the real story. Focus on the actions, not the apologies piling up. Fourth, emotional independence is a must. You can't build something solid with someone who's still tethered to their past. It's like trying to sprint a marathon with somebody yanking your leg back. You're not getting anywhere fast. Michelle might have walked away from her ex in the physical sense, but emotionally, mentally, she was still hooked. That left our relationship feeling crowded, like there was always this extra shadow lurking around. There's no space for an ex in the life you're trying to create together. It just doesn't work. And fifth, sometimes you've got to let go, even if it stinks. Sticking around in something that's already hollowed out hurts way more in the long run. I didn't want to walk away from her, but staying would have meant losing who I was bit by bit. That's not a swap I could live with. So that's my tale, start to finish. Now I'm tossing it over to you. What would you have done if you were in my shoes? Did I blow it out of proportion? Or was I right to draw the line? Should I have given her one more shot? Or did I make the smart call? Hit me up in the comments. I'm genuinely curious to hear your take. And I'll leave you with this. Relationships aren't always a cakewalk, but they're built on choices. You choose to trust, you choose to guard that trust, and if someone chooses to shatter it, sometimes the only move left is to step away. What do you think?